Alright, well welcome back to the shop. I'm pretty excited. Got this big box. Not nearly as heavy as I thought it would be, but I got a big box. So I finally broke down and bought myself, hopefully, anyway, I'm going to check to make sure, but hopefully a better vise. So I've got a Grizzly G0759. Tucked away in the corner there amongst all of our junk here. But so far it's been an okay little mill. One of the big drawbacks I had was I thought I had enough tooling to at least get me going, and I guess in a way that was kind of true. I had this little import 3-inch vise that I took off of one of my horizontals that I mainly use this just to hold stock, and I use my little horizontal as basically a saw the majority of the time. But I thought it would be adequate, at least to get me going. Turns out this thing, just a pile of junk. So I think this is one of those like $70 or $80 eBay jobbers. There's absolutely no maker's mark on it anywhere. Everything is absolutely razor sharp. Just a pile of junk. So I wanted to get myself a good vise. You know, of course, a 4-inch Kurt would have been perfect, but they don't give them away. And unfortunately, because they don't make the old Kurt style anymore, all the ones I could find were either beat up, just garbage, or they looked to be in good shape, but they wanted a ton of money for them. So I bought the Shars. This is the 440V. It's tough for me to decide whether I wanted to go with the 440 or the 4-inch, or if I wanted to do the 5-inch. I also looked at the glass urn, or I don't know how you say it, but I think it's a Taiwanese made vise that supposedly, you know, they send it to the US, and they do some of the grinding, finishing work and grinding here. I don't know, I've never owned one. I've never seen one in the flesh. Apparently they're pretty nice. What's this? Oh, I totally forgot about this. I guess at the same time I also got myself a drill chuck, also from Shars. This is supposed to be one of their more premium models. I'll probably do a review on it. I'd forgotten I'd even ordered that, so that's nice. I wonder why this box was so big. Alright, we're getting to the meat of her here. It's a good thing they sent it inside 2 boxes, because this thing is just trash. This might be a nice touch here. We'll have to check to see if these serial numbers actually match. But I guess doesn't instill a ton of confidence seeing the box all shredded like that in there. This came with some documentation here. You know, this isn't going to be like the review that you see some of the guys have done when they buy these Chinese milling vices where they get the granite surface plate out and they take a whole bunch of measurements. This is just going to be me opening this thing up and giving you some initial impressions. So I'll compare and contrast with this junk 3-inch. I don't know, I guess this thing gives me a good feeling or it doesn't. They're $250, at least for the one I bought, the 4-inch. And I really think 4-inch is going to be plenty. Oh, not very well packaged. Just came flying out the end there. So this is the vise handle. This is not very well finished. It's pretty ugly and porous. I don't know how well the camera is going to pick this up, but yep, looks like right out of the forge, somebody maybe used the 4-inch grinder to grind off some of the sharp bits, and then she got plated. So kind of gross. Not the end of the world. This pin appears to be pretty loose though. I'll give you a close-up of that later, but not as concerned with that. Oh, it does have some gravity to it though. Oh. box out of the way. Oh, come on. So, yeah, just side by side, you can tell the difference. This is a 3-inch and this is a 4-inch. Packed together pretty tight. Not notice anything off the hop here that's either razor sharp. Maybe that's pretty sharp there in the corners here. So they have gone around and done some deburring. We got some of these stickers on here. Looks like the plastic is just peeling right off. The paint looks nice. It looks like they used a lot of filler. Of course, everything is just covered in shipping grease. You know, it's not that big, heavy, thick, like cosmoline stuff you usually find on most Chinese things. But it is no question they did not want this thing to rust. Yeah, most everything looks fairly well deburred. It looks like I am going to have to go around with a stone and just touch a few places here and there. Ooh, yeah, underneath here on the sides where they had milled this flat, that is just razor sharp. That would cut you wide open. But overall, this seems to be pretty well finished for something that came from the Far East. I believe this particular model is actually made in Taiwan, and it was inspected by a J.H. Chen, September 24th, 2020. So this is really only a couple months old. I don't know if these are real, you know, like these inspection reports, because it's a stamp on here. So I don't know if maybe they go through and they, you know, they make 1 million of these, and then, you know, they match them up to a vise that it actually meets these specs, or my guess is that they just print a large number of these, because I'm not seeing on here on my inspection sheet where my serial number is. You know, maybe I'm an idiot. But yeah, so it came with this inspection report, but there's no way to identify that this actually matches this vise here. Yeah, got some Sharpie, especially on the inside, you know, where they had ground this flat. There's quite a bit of artifacts of kind of that knife edging that happens. But the slots themselves appear to be pretty well finished and cut. Everything that you would expect to not have paint on it, for the most part, doesn't have paint on it. There's a few specks. Pretty sure the camera's not going to pick any of this up, but some sort of filler, a different feel to it. You know, you can kind of see the waviness in it. Not too concerned because that's the bottom. Did come with keys. Pretty sure these keys aren't going to fit my my mill. I'm going to have to make my own set, so this will fit on there. Flip her over. Ah. Yeah, it's, I mean, this little thing to this, what a huge step up to go from a 3-inch vise to a 4-inch. Now, I did like this model too because it's supposed to open up quite a bit farther. This screw does not have a good feeling to it right off the hop. Almost feels like there's some grit or something. So of course, just like anything you get that's imported, you know, one of the first steps is always take it all the way apart, clean everything up. But yeah, it seems to be moving better the more I've got it worked here. There's some kind of almost like forward and back play here. I don't know how well that's translating to the camera. There's a, looks to be a thrust washer up front. I'm sure there's some ball bearings in there. I'm going to go ahead and probably pull this screw, not on camera, because I don't think that would be very exciting to watch a guy tear apart and clean a vise. But yeah, this seems, I mean, obviously this is just the first impression. I really just wanted to get this open to see what grinding artifacts. Yeah, it is just chock full of grinding dust here. That's too bad. But I guess I can't complain too much for the price. I'm looking at the serial number here on the box I threw on the floor, and sure enough, it matches the serial number that's on this side plate here. Made in Taiwan. A big chunk of cast iron. Everything seems to move as it should. I mean, I don't have a tremendous amount to be alarmed about right off the hop. Another reason I picked this is I'm under the impression, now whether this is true or not, that this fits the standard, or old standard, Kurt 4-inch jaws. So, you know, turning up a set of aluminum or mild steel soft jaws for a project, no big deal. I could do that. But, you know, the hardened steel, you know, like the V jaws or anything, the serrated jaws, or the ones that have a step, I don't know what they call it, like piranha clamp. Any of those, you know, I wanted to get a vise that at least gave me the opportunity to purchase one of those products. And I'm not sure I'd ever need it. But it's one of those things to have. Now, I think probably one of my first projects will be making myself a little wider 5-inch soft jaws out of aluminum. I've got some work, or a little project that I've got to work on that I'm going to need a little bit more holding than that. But yeah, I mean, off the hop, other than being covered in kind of some odd smelling oil, there's still some grinding dust. Like I said, the screw turns like there's definitely some junk in there somewhere. This thing doesn't look as crappy as I thought it might. I don't have all the dimensions in front of me here, but considering how small my mill is, you know, it's a G0759 7x27. I think this is about the right size. So by comparison, once again, here's the little 3-inch that I had been using, and probably the biggest problem I have with this guy is, you know, it's one of those Anglock, you know, it's Kurt style, I guess is what they like to call them, vices. That's supposed to keep jaw lift to a minimum. It doesn't work. Not on this one anyway. This thing has a lot of jaw lift, and it's not consistent. So I was having trouble with parts getting clamping pressure that, you know, either all the way across, maybe say a thin piece, or whatever it may be. You know, have some parallel set on there, and, you know, I'd just tap it down, and I'd tap it down, and I'd tap it down, and I'd still have one side of whatever square piece that I'm milling on. It's all loosey-goosey on this side, and, you know, overhinged on this side. So something obviously squareness-wise was not perfect in this. You know, maybe I take this thing apart and I could do a little work on it and touch it up. Maybe make it usable. I think it'll probably end up back on my little, what do I got, a Barker horizontal. That, once again, was basically just my chop saw. So I might make myself a set of V jaws for this, and then put that back on my little horizontal, and, you know, I could orient that on the x-axis and go ahead and use it to part off stuff. But I think this will probably become my main milling vise once I can get her cleaned up. So I don't really have a whole lot else. I guess if you have any questions about it, well, I don't have answers at the moment. Maybe after I've got it all cleaned up and got it on the table, people are interested, I could do a, you know, 3-month, 6-month, 1-year review. But I can tell just by the way it's finished And not everything is trying to draw blood. You know, a few little things, but on this style, this $90, $70, whatever little 3-inch vise, yeah, I mean, this thing was razor sharp everywhere. And I had to go over the whole thing with a file. I'm going to have to do a little bit of that here, but I don't think it's going to be like an all-day project. I think I can touch up a few areas. I'm not impressed, once again. With this guy, I'm not even sure why it's plated with whatever it's plated with. Some sort of chrome. Kind of gross looking. But overall, man, this thing looks solid, especially for 250 bucks. So, I'll let you know when I've had it for a while and whether or not it's worth owning or not. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.